I really think it's a uniquely terrible feeling to be on a trend before it was a trend. Because that's the thing, you weren't even doing it as a trend. It was just something that you did, and now it's popular. And I'm talking about these bad boys right here, wired headphones. Apparently, they're all the rage nowadays. At least that's what I hear through my wired headphones. And people are done with AirPods. Don't want to put these little, Minecraft boots in their ears anymore. They want to make them wired, right? It's kind of that retro aesthetic that people always go for. Sometimes they're going too retro, sometimes with the conversations they're having because they're like, well, we shouldn't let these people in these places. I'm like, oh, well, okay, let's let's stick to style. Let's do the whole fashion part, not the stuff that your grandparents talk about. But I've always worn wired headphones. It hasn't been like a conscious decision. It's just that I never got AirPods. It was just something I never really wanted. Well, Garv, isn't that then in fact a decision? Action or inaction is action. Some motivational podcast you listen to has probably said that before, but I've never owned AirPods and I'm not about to start. And why would I? Because it's not even popular now. But it does feel kind of terrible because it's like, oh, do you wear those? Because it's like, no, I don't wear them because of anything. I just like them more. I feel like when you use a phone, you're kind of untethered from the real world, right? You're sucked into this little thing. It feels like AirPods are a step farther in that direction. Not only are you using a phone, but now you're using a phone wirelessly. You're getting the information from the phone without even having to physically connect to it. You're over the air waves, the Bluetooth waves. What are even those? Do doctors know about those? Dentists? Have they heard about the Bluetooth? Isn't that weird? Gardeners, they have a green thumb. But dentists, they don't have Bluetooth. That's right. When I go in their offices, they always have wired speakers. All right, put that one in the maybe pile. We'll workshop it, see if we can do something with that. But I've never used wireless AirPods, which is funny because now people say wired AirPods. Like these didn't predate those. It's a weird naming convention where it goes backwards. There's probably something like that where we went forward, right? Like I guess kind of like a floppy disk is the save button. We wouldn't refer to a floppy disk as like, oh, that's the save button in real life. We would just say that, oh, that's a floppy disk. But with these, we say, oh, these are wired AirPods. No, these are just Apple headphones. But I never went that way. Because I just didn't want to be untethered in that way, right? Sucked into this world of the Bluetooth. Because I have, teeth, and I want to keep them healthy. In fact, I do keep them healthy. I went to the dentist this week, and I felt unnecessarily cocky. I used everything. I gave my teeth the works before I went. I used floss, mouthwash, toothpaste, because I like to clean the area before I have visitors. See, I know some people that don't wash their teeth, brush their teeth before they go into the dentist. And I've asked them, I'm like, what is the reason behind that? And they're like, well, I'm going there for a cleaning. I don't need to clean. But it's the same reason, right? If you ever have people that clean your house, you kind of tidy up the place before they come in because you don't want to look like a slob, right? You don't want to give them a bunch of, like, you wouldn't throw stuff. I knew one guy, he was like, I always eat spinach before I go to the dentist. I'm like, yeah, you're going to end up in hell or whatever that equivalent is. Like whatever that punishment you get at the end is, when you get your receipt on life, you're going to be like, oh shit, I spent a lot. I'm like, yeah, should have been a little more smart with your choices. This is now what you got to pay. That's the bill you got. And they're like, fuck. Well, I'm not going to tip. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's a built-in percentage. They're like, oh, damn it, really? Yeah, that's life, man. Built in. But I went to the dentist this week and I felt really cocky because I did a full thorough brush, floss, mouthwash, brushed with toothpaste, and I went in there feeling pretty confident. Even the person, I guess they're not referred to as a dentist, it's like the hygienist, because they're not like the full dentist, they just do the cleaning. They said, yeah, we'll take a look, and if everything looks good, we won't have to call in the dentist. We can just send you on your way, because you're just due for a cleaning today. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. It felt like I studied really well for a test, and I was like, yeah, throw anything you want at me. I can handle it. Because I was like, yeah, get in there, right? And then you hear them, you feel them move pretty quickly on from certain places of your mouth, and you're like, yeah, you didn't find shit, did you? It's kind of like, right? I don't know, there's that challenge, people always talk about it, where it's like, oh, if the FBI were to come to your house and you had to hide one key, where would you hide it? And people have all these creative places they could put it, right? The favorite and the most common one I've heard is you melt a candle and then you put the key in the candle and you let the candle take its form again, and then it'll be in the candle, and you just put it there and they won't find it. I've heard other ones, right? Put it in your TV somehow, right? There's this little place you can pull down your TV, put it in there. Some people, they say you can put in your dog's ass. And I'm like, well, that seems like you didn't need this challenge to do that, because why'd you get there so quick? We were only on the third thing and you already arrived at, yeah, well, let's stick it in my dog's ass. What? Candle was a little creative, right? Like I would have never thought to put things in candle, but I would have thought of the candle before a dog's ass. You arrived at dog's ass way too quick. It felt like that was already a place you go. Like you ever go on a hike with someone and they're like, yeah, let's cut through here. I'm like, that's not a path. And you're like, no, it is. I've done it before. I'm like, oh. Well, the only way you would have known it's a path is if you've done it before. And so this person suggesting their dog's ass, I'm like, well, why is that a place you went to? And they're like, I don't know. He just walked in the room. I'm like, yeah, but you don't. Let's talk about this later. But for now, we need to hide this key, okay? But I was in there. I was cocky. And I was like, yeah, you're not going to find shit. But then I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, people probably have disgusting mouths, like the insides of their mouths. So I'm like, I think I do a really good job. I always get compliments. They say, hey, there was just a little bit of, what is it, plaque in some spots, but they're like, that's natural. But you do a good job. There's good upkeep. And I'm like, yeah, why is it that every goddamn appointment for the last 3 years you found a cavity or a filling? And they're like, well, yeah, we got to make money. I'm like, oh, you said it. You said it. I know that's not true. I'm not an insane person, but sometimes it feels that way. If I'm doing such a good job cleaning, right? Why you keep finding stuff? It feels like talking to an English teacher where they're like, you did great. I loved writing this piece. It was thorough. It was comprehensive. It was really mentally titillating. But I gave you a B. A B? You enjoyed it. There was nothing you found. Why is it still getting docked points? I know you can do better. What? But I don't think dentists are doing that. I don't think they're putting it as a challenge. We're going to put something inside your tooth to make you brush better. Because what was that? They would be earning money, true. And then it conveniently isn't covered by your insurance. What the fuck is insurance doing? Huh? If it's not paying for the things that I need to pay for, then what is it doing, huh? Apparently I'm paying for that, but it's not paying for anything, huh? It's like a bad friend that just keeps asking for handouts. Hey, could I just bum off a quick 20? Yeah, because you're going to get dinner, right? They're like, yeah, I'm going to get dinner. I'm the guy asking you for money. You think I can get you dinner? Get the fuck out of here. But I'm like, yeah, no, the average person's mouth is probably really fucking disgusting. Like I said, I have those people that I know. I don't talk to them anymore. But they're like, I kind of muck up the place. So I know they're doing a good job. I wonder if people have ever done that. People that have house cleaners. They're like, no, I leave stuff in certain places just to see if they get them. And if they're still there, I know, well, they didn't do a good job. Those have to be the worst people. But I'm like, yeah, the average person's mouth and teeth situation probably isn't great. So I probably look awesome. Like I even scrape my tongue before I go to the dentist. I'm like, I want the whole place to be good. Like I know you're just looking at the shelves, but I don't want the rug to be dirty while you're looking at them, right? So I get the whole thing. I even make sure to like, this is insane. I make sure to like trim my face and make sure my facial hair looks good because I don't want them to have to, like with a machete, just cut through all the jungle to get to where they want to go. I try to make it all look good, right? If you're going to land a plane, you got to make sure the runway looks good. So I clean it all up. I don't want at any point while they're there, they're doing me a favor. I know I'm paying them, but they're also probably getting paid a crazy amount of money. But I want to make sure the experience is good for everyone. I don't want in the future, right? They only see me twice a year. But you know how sucky that would be to see someone twice a year? And then every time they walk through the door, you're like, oh, fuck this guy. That's what family reunions are for. Not the dentist. The dentist is for going in there to get you right. And right I was. So I thought about, the average of humans. I'm like, yeah, people are doing terrible. I was like, I probably look like a model. And I was like, yeah, I look like a model at a local pageant. People are like, wow, he's really good. But you also got to look at the competition. I'm not really with the best of them, am I? I'm in there, I look good, fine, okay, sure. I might turn a few heads. But it's probably because people are like, oh, so you got a little bit of food in your beard. Oh, do I? Oh, fuck, my bad. But, I'm turning heads, but not that many heads. But it depends what scale you're looking at, right? Everything's relative. So I think, when I go to a dentist, I feel like I'm the hottest guy at the local pageant. Because sure, on a global scale, do I have great pearly whites? No, I don't think so. But, in my weight class, I think I have a pretty strong swing, don't I? Never gonna do AirPods though. It just feels like, yeah, why do you need to do that? I like, for some reason, the tactile, like putting in headphones and like feeling that you're connected to something. It's good. It's like why people go out in their backyards and they take their shoes and socks off and they put their bare toes in the grass. It grounds them. We make the joke, right? Touch grass, go outside. But it really does something. I've never tried it, but I'm taking people's word for it. Whatever their feet is telling their brain and their brain is telling your mouth to tell me, I'll vouch for it. Sure, yeah, of course, that's probably good. But that's how wearing these headphones feels to me. If I'm not connected, I feel like I'm missing out on like being grounded in life. And things are getting too convenient, right? Like the AirPods, it was good. People invented those. People, I'm talking about Apple. Apple invented those. They're like, hey, this is going to make life better for people. But I don't think life always needs to be made better. I think that's what some people are seeing with AI. Do we need to be this efficient? I feel like we're losing some of our humanity with it. But I think we've gotten too efficient, right? Even stuff like cars. I've never understood the whole car thing. When people talk about electric cars, typically Teslas, the thing they always quote first is how fast you can go from 0 to 60. 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. I'm like, wait, why does that matter? So you can get to the next stoplight quicker than me, and then I'll just end up right behind you. We're getting to the same spot at the same time. Who cares how quick you are in between? It's not about the battles. It's about the war. And people are like, yeah, I'm doing really great during the battles. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to. It's not helping anyone. I feel like we keep increasing the 0 to 60 speed. It's not good. Because there are like kids out there on these electric bikes, these e-bikes, they call them. I wonder where they got that name. And I'm like, yeah, if we keep making the cars faster, and we keep adding these kids on the street, someone's going to get hurt. I don't know why we have to make things so good. They don't have to be that good. You know, I can't think of a good example now, but I think there are things that are made in the world that aren't as efficient as they could be, and that's on purpose. Because whoever invented those products, whoever is creating those things, knows if we make them too good, people will misuse them. If we make these cars too quick to go from 0 to 60, that's too good of a product. A human being is not responsible enough to take that. I don't know if this is true. I heard it on the internet, so it must be. But I heard that apparently blenders don't have to be that loud. But someone, they found they were doing test groups, focus groups, or maybe it was just public opinion. People were saying, well, I feel like the blender is not that powerful. And they're like, no, it is more powerful. They're like, yeah, well, but it's not loud though. And they're like, yeah, but it doesn't, no, that's the beauty. We made it quieter and more powerful. They're like, yeah, but I don't think it's more powerful. They're like, no, we literally have the data. It's right here. It is more powerful. They're like, yeah, but why doesn't it sound more powerful? And they're like, oh, fuck. So I don't know if that's true. Even if it's fake, it still proves the point where it's like people need certain things, even if they're not the most efficient, right? We don't always need the best thing. And I think headphones are the same way. Aesthetically, they're nicer. Performance-wise, I don't know. I've heard, right, it gets better because we're hardwired into the sound. But I don't know. So yeah, it feels tough. I'm in a weird position because now this is the fad, but like I've been doing this. So is it performative? Am I a performative male? I can't be, can I? I don't know. I think I am though, because I follow like fashion people. I don't follow them. No, I do actually. There's a few people that are like into fashion that I follow on Instagram, and it's cool to follow them. You're like, oh, that's interesting that they put that outfit together that way. But there is one bad thing about following these fashion MFs on Instagram, because they'll be wearing this cool low-key fit, right? And you're like, oh, that's a nice coat. And I have a link to it. And you're like, oh, I'll go to this website that has like a 2-syllable name, a couple vowels missing. I'll check out this jacket. Maybe I'll get this jacket. It's getting cold coming up here, huh? And I go to the website and I'm like, it's $385. And it's on sale. It used to be $700. But the 17 pieces they made didn't get sold. So they're like, oh, now it's on sale. But I go to these websites. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Let's look around. And most of the shit's like $700 to $900. Then you get these 2 weird eccentric coats that are like $1685. And you're like, what the fuck are we doing? Looks like it was made in 1685. Looks like an old war vest. But no, it's being sold for that amount of money. That was someone's lifetime earnings in 1685. That jacket. But yeah, the piece they're wearing, it's always like some middle of the road piece, and then you look at the cheaper stuff that's like $400, and it's just a vest. So you can't even buy anything with sleeves unless you want to like fucking not be able to eat for a month. And so that's what sucks. These people wear these very minimalistic, cool, low key pieces, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll cop. And then you fucking go to the place, and you're like, well, I don't want to have to ask for a king's ransom from my bank and take out a fucking loan, because what do you mean it's $978? I'm like, and what is that? What's that combination of numbers even? You're doing some shady shit over there, right? What factory are you using that you had to work out 978? I don't know about that. I have a friend. His name is Chris. I'm okay with saying his name. I'll use his real name here. When I tell stories, I like to use people's real names. But I don't like to say it on here because then I don't want to like dox anyone, right? But Chris, I can use Chris's name because it's a very endearing thing that Chris does. You see, Chris, the way he texts, I like the way he texts because it always feels like he's trying to end the conversation as quick as possible, and that's preferred. You see, some people they text and you're like, oh, this is going to be like a whole conversation, isn't it? There's really no end in sight. But Chris, every time Chris sends a text, it could be the end of the conversation. He does it that way. He sends a text and you could leave it there and it would be fine, right? Like you could say something, he'll go, LOL, facts. And that could be the end of it. Or you can add on if you want. But he always gives you an out to the conversation, and I enjoy that. Because anytime he texts me or I text him, I know that we're going to get to a resolution as quick as possible. There's some people that text you and you're like, oh, fuck. They're gonna be like texting me essentially, what is it? What are those made up stories that people do? About like famous people? It's not like fan art, but it's like fucking, what is it called? Let me look it up. Oh, fanfic. It feels like people are texting you and then it's like they're writing their own fanfic to you. They start telling you a story about something very boring in their life. The story they're telling you is just like, I went to the hospital for a checkup and I ran into someone from my past. We had Spanish together one time. That's it. That's the story. But they fucking send like 18 messages to tell you that. And that's the thing. But Chris, it's never that way. It's, hey, I'm coming to you because of this thing, yes or no? And I'm like, oh, yes. And he's like, cool, sounds good. Like we planned a dinner for a couple weeks out. And he texted me about something. He was like, yo, do you want to go to this thing? He was like, no worries if not. He was like, I'm only going if you go. I was like, ah, shit. Can't that day. He was like, no worries. I was like, hey, by the way, do you want to get dinner this day? He was like, yeah, that sounds good. You got a place in mind? I was like, not off the dome, but I was like, I'll get back to you. He was like, all right, sounds good. And that was it. I love that. I don't want to do a whole thing. And I was like, that also feels like an analogy or like a simile or whatever, a metaphor for life. Because life is finite, right? Unfortunately, it ends in death. But that's what makes you appreciate it so much more. And that's why I like the way Chris texts so much. Because I know the conversation is quickly going to die. So I appreciate it. I'm like, yeah, let's do what we need to do and then let's get out of here. But these people that fucking just, ooh, I can't do it. I get stuck after about 2 back and forwards. I'm like, are we still doing this? Fuck. Now let's talk about real life. In real life, I prefer the second person. I prefer the person that can hash out a story over 18 text or 18, points in a story. I don't like the short, curt person where they're like, yeah, this happened and that's it. I'm like, can you spice it up a little? What were you wearing that day? That's important. And they're like, well, I was wearing a full fursuit. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's weird because you said you went to the bookstore. So we're going to have to come back to that. But what happened at the bookstore? See, I need details in real life. But when we're texting, there's a reason online why there's character count on certain websites. You don't need to say that much. In real life, say as much as you want. Spill out till your heart's content. But over text, don't fucking bother me with that shit. What do you need? We're trying to get somewhere. Take me there, huh? It's kind of like how some people's relationship with drinking. I don't enjoy drinking. I'm just using it to get me somewhere. That's what people say. I remember famously, Khloe Kardashian said that. She said, I don't like to drink, but I'm trying to get somewhere. And I was like, oh, okay, Khloe. But that's why I like so much the way Chris texts, because it's like, yeah, it's finite. I know it's going to end soon, so I savor it that much more. Whereas a person that's like, you're never going to guess what happened. I'm like, and I don't want to. Do we have to even do this? Can I tap out early? And that's why I don't respond. Have you ever seen The Good Place, the TV show? If you haven't, just skip ahead a minute, okay? Because I'm about to spoil the ending. Just skip a minute. But it's the same reason in The Good Place at the end of it why all the characters choose to move on, right? Because they get bored. There's only so much dilly-dallying you can do. It loses its specialness. You stop being interested in life. I think that's what death does. But that's also what conversations with Chris do. They allow me to appreciate that much more because I'm like, oh, well, this will end soon. And that's good. But yeah, welcome back, everyone. I spoiled The Good Place, so thank God you skipped ahead. I was behind a car. What were you doing there, Garb? Nothing nefarious. I promise. I was just driving. But we were at a stoplight, and I noticed in front of me there was a Prius, and there was a singular droplet of bird shit. Well, droplet is a little conservative of a word because it was a healthy amount. That bird was definitely taking laxatives. It was definitely drinking Olipop. Is that the soda that gives people fucking the farts and the shits for days and days? But yeah, this bird, it was not in a good way. And it let this Prius know. It gave it an old back shot. Yeah, you ever see a pigeon give a Prius back shots? Pretty crazy. Pretty wild. And I took a picture because I'm like, oh, this is so funny. If this person, I bet this person was having a shit day because it got even shittier. Put that one in the good pile. I think we can use that one. But I took a picture because I'm like, this is so funny. This is literally the one spot in their entire back window that their wiper can't cover. And the bird shit perfectly there. Or maybe the whole window was covered in shit. And it just cleaned it, and then that was all that was left. There's no way to know. Because that's the one spot that the wiper doesn't cover. I thought that was funny. Because I'm like, yeah, that person, that was probably the cherry on top of a shitty day. I talked about it a few weeks ago. Sometimes it feels like when something bad happens during your day, and another bad thing happens, you're like, oh, fuck. One is a rarity, right? Maybe it just happened for some reason. It's an outlier. 2 is a coincidence, but oh boy, if we have 3 now, that's a pattern. And when you're at 2, you're 1 away from 3. Yes, we're learning math on this channel. Hope you're taking notes. So 2 plus 1 equals 3. Yeah, whatever you learned in the previous classes, dump that, right? It's like when teachers told you about negative numbers. Remember how your teachers told you that there are only positive numbers and 0? They lied. I'm sorry. What? Myself in like 3rd grade, I was like, whoa, those bitches, those bastards, how dare they? You know what? Let's cut this lesson short. They're right next door. Let's get them. Let's fucking get them. How dare they? By the way, they looked at me. They've met my family. Back to school night. Yeah, they met my family and they looked at me in the eyes and lied to me and said there were no negative numbers. Actually, they didn't even say there were no negative numbers. I didn't even know they existed. I didn't even know there was something I didn't know. They were keeping that secret? Okay. Interesting. I thought of a stupid person thought the other day. Let me know if you've thought about this. And I'm not going to look it up. But you know how people always credit India with like they invented the number 0. I don't know why I was thinking about it the other day, but I'm like, wait a minute. So if they invented 0 after all the other numbers, then what the fuck was 10 using this whole time, right? 10, 20, 30, 40. What were all the 10s using? Because they end in a 0, right? But where the fuck did they get that from? Was that already there? And then India was like, let's use that for something. It's nowhere in the singles. Let's put it at the beginning. People were like, yeah, that's fine, I guess. If it wants to do its little solo thing, break away from the the larger band, right? Pull a Camila Cabello, maybe move on from Fifth Harmony, become, the her of the number line, I'm sure 10 wished her luck. Godspeed, 0. That's a Camila Cabello song. I like that song, Godspeed. So that's why that's funny. Put that in the bad pile. I don't think we're going to use that one. That wasn't very good. It takes too much context. I don't think it'll play well with the crowds I play, huh? But I do wonder, where the fuck did 0 come from then? Was it part of 10 and then it broke off into its solo thing? And then, it still kind of comes in for some features with the whole group? I don't know. Anywho. But this bird shit, I was like, that had to have been the sprinkles on top to someone's bad day. Because it kind of looks like sprinkles now. Disgusting. Okay, what kind of sprinkles are you eating? Oh, bird shit sprinkles. I sprinkled like dried bird shit on my ice cream. Do you not? Interesting. Don't we all have such unique, interesting lives? Huh? We're all living, but we're all doing it a different way. I think that's sweet. Speaking of cars, I wonder, do you think if traffic lights turned yellow before green, that would be good? Because right now, right, when they're going to red, it'll go from green, yellow to red. But then when it goes from red to green, it's a full jump. It doesn't go back to yellow. And I wonder, would that be better? Or would that just like encourage racing? Because then people will be like, oh, here it comes. And then you'll start revving their engines. Because there's always those stragglers, right, that are running red lights. And so I feel like a yellow would be bad because then people would probably get in more accidents because they'd be, jumping that. Also, when you're coming in, what if you just see a yellow light and you're like, I don't know which yellow light that is. Is that telling me I'm about to go or about to stop? So I understand, yes, this would be a terrible idea. It's good that we just go directly from red to green. But have you ever thought about that? How it's like, well, we go yellow one way, but we don't go yellow the other way. What about that, huh? What do you think of that? Guys will be like, I want a girl that just thinks about things. And they go on a date and they say shit like this. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just talk about like interesting things like traffic lights. And then she's like, I'm gonna use the bathroom. Can you order me an angel shot? And they're like, yeah, that sounds good. I've never had that. Is that good? And they're like, yeah, it's gonna be great in a while. Uh, but I do, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I think, you know what? I think we figured it out. Hey, traffic lights, keep it up. I like what you're doing with the place. No one, keep doing it, huh? At work that would take 7 meetings to get to the place I just got. Let's spend a lot of time discussing this and then just reach the same exact spot we were always at. Huh? How's that sound? So yeah. But yeah, people would start buying nicer cars, I think, even. People would buy like race cars because they're like, yeah, I want to feel like a racer. I want to feel like well, no, what were they called? Not a racer, a racist. Nope, well, that's something else. That's. Yeah. I feel like everyone on the streets would be racing. I feel like people would have a bunch of race wars. Well, no, that's something else too. That's not what we want in such a divisive time. To think traffic lights could perpetuate such a thing. Oh my goodness. So yeah, traffic lights, you got it. I'd keep up the hey. I like what you've done with the place. It's like when artists get really famous and then all their like weird fucking friends that didn't support them suddenly pop out of nowhere. They're like, I love what you're doing. Oh my God. I was thinking, yes, this is her sound. And like the fact that like you found that, like, and I knew you'd find that and you captured it. And like, I knew you would always like, post those clips on Instagram with 17 views. And like, I would watch them. I wouldn't interact with them though. But I knew if you just used that sound and it reached a bigger audience, like you would find that. And you did. And that's so great. And when are we going to go to the club together sometime? Because like, I knew you when you were so like nothing. Like really, I saw the clips on social media and they were truly like, I was even thinking, oh, is she shadow, kind of thing. But no, you beat the odds, girl. And I knew you would. But speaking about people making music, I have music recommendations for you, huh? What do you think? You want some of those? Look at you chomping at the bit. Huh? No, hey, calm down. I'll give them to you. I'll give them to you. Yeah, hey, easy. Down, boy. Don't clip that. You sicko. I know what you're about. Yeah, freak. Anywho, first song, I Love You So Much It Hurts by Kali Uchis. I looked up a video how to pronounce her name, so I said it right. You can't find me on that. Next song is Off a Few by 8 Ray. No idea how to say his name. I didn't look it up, but it's read as 8 Ray, so certainly that's how it's pronounced, right? Like when people read my name, they're like Gauruv, and I'm like, well, that's not it. And they're like, well, that's what's spelled. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And the last song, this is a pretty famous song already, I feel like. Dark Thoughts by Lil Tecca. The intro, I love it every time. I think it's a sound on TikTok now. And that's probably why I got so known. But Anytime I hear that intro, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. This is awesome. It feels like you're playing Grand Theft Auto again, like old Grand Theft Auto. Anytime I hear that sound, that like first 12 seconds or whatever of the song, it bangs. So yeah, check out those songs. I highly recommend them. And you know that anything I say is a good recommendation. People are like, oh, super stoked on what Garv has to say and everything he's about. And to show me how stoked you are, make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you leave a comment. I really need your guys' comments because we're trying to make this thing go buco bucks, right? So I can have those weird friends come out of the fog, the tall grass, and be like, yo, I love what you were doing. Yes, that's so good. I knew it. I knew you'd hit it big, man. So yeah, make sure you leave a like and you leave a comment because I know it may not look like it, but I need it. I need your support. But I'm not begging. I'm just like asking nicely. Come on. That's not. I still have my self respect, okay? And I hope I still have your like because you're going to leave a like, right? Hope so. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And I will talk to you next week, okay?